Okay, viewers, today's first video about learning how to prepare for patent agent exam. Get it? Let's have fun studying the today. This is the first slide: introduction, definition, interpretation. Section 2: what is patentability criteria? What is called invention? Which are the things not patentable? What are the section 3 and 4? And these are the things that we are going to cover in this first session. Okay, we'll be sharing this PPTs. You you add comments at this the course. I'll be in the middle and discuss. Thank you for your. Let's start.
To identify the non-patentable subject matter under Section 3 and Section 4 with real-world examples. You will be able to understand the landmark judgments that have shaped the Indian patent law, and you will be able to navigate the complex concept of anticipation very easily. Okay?
Yeah. So I think they're explaining what are patent.
All right. So let's start with the fundamental question. What exactly is the patents? So we all know that what are patents by now. You have attended enough sessions to understand that. So give me your answers in the chat box. Characteristics of patents.
For me, I think a patent generally it is a territorial right. Okay, so we can say it's given here, right? So patents are the territorial rights. So they are granted or
In the chat
enforced,
box, everybody.
yeah, by
I need
individual.
answers. Please send me the answers in the Law Seco ID. Shriya Law Seco.
Yeah, I can think. I think. Let's see. What is a patent?
What are patents?
So you see here the I think the four things are
Very
given
simple
here.
question.
So the four things here given, right? What is a patent? I think it's a territorial right. So patents are territorial rights because they are granted. Exact definition. Patent an invention economically for a limited period. Yes, in most countries, the grant of a patent excludes others from making, selling, or importing product for the purpose which such invention has been patented. Patent is a territorial right that is gives the owner of the patent the right to exclude others from making the same product, selling the product, and using the product. However, this is only applicable in those countries in which the owner has been granted a patent, not in jurisdictions. Hence, the businesses which sell their products internationally usually file patent applications in multiple nations. So, the patent I bought. Generally, I think I also have the definition of a patent. A patent is a monopoly right is granted to the inventor over his invention. Monopoly right granted to the inventor over the inventor who is granted a patent is called the monopoly right product invented by them, including the right to distribute the invention in it. Code patent has a open. A patent is an exclusive right that is granted for an limited period, 20 years by the government in exchange for the full disclosure of the thing, the full everything invention has to be disclosed. So it's not easy to get. It's not very beneficial products. The price of the grant monopoly, which after the expiry of the period of the passes into the public domain. Okay. Any person can use it, I think. So a patent is a property, and hence it can be gifted. As the exclusive rights are conferred, it can also be, and especially if the patent has been sold, that even though the patent is granted, but sole property, it is conferred by the state. That means anytime using the patent rights for the revoke it. So the patent right, in nature. Patent, if you have a patent right in one, exclude every other country you should pay for the patent. That means what? A patent is right, territorial right. Rights are in that country. Okay, let's here in patent I saw that book in patent there will be so what are patents? Here negative right. Others are excluded from the making or using or that's why it's called.
All right. So some answers are fine. So I'll tell you. Patents are the rights which are exclusive rights. They are granted to the inventor, and these rights prevent others from making, using, selling, or importing their invention for a fixed period of 20 years from the filing date. So, this isn't just a legal protection, it's a government granted monopoly in exchange for a full public disclosure of the invention. So, the key point to remember herein is that the 20-year term starts from the filing date, all right, and not from the date of grant. We all know this concept very finely. So I am just going to this, some of the starting things would be like a recap of what we have done, so
Yeah,
don't panic. Okay,
I'm not
so
panic.
now let's discuss the three pillars of patentability. As we all know, these are all the aspects that we have covered very thoroughly in the previous sessions. These are negative rights, they are territorial in nature, they are
This
transferable assets, and they are legal and exclusive
empty
rights. Okay, because they are granted by a government to the inventor. Okay, so we have covered this part. Now let's move on to the next one, which is the patentability criteria. This is also something which we have very thoroughly done. Now we will be focusing more on sections in this course. Okay, in the USPTO course, we are focusing on enhancing the skill. But in
yeah,
this specific course, since it's exam oriented, we are going to focus on important sections and rules. So you'll be hearing more and more of sections in each session.
yes,
So be very attentive. So starting with this concept, now let's discuss the three patentability criteria, the pillars of it. which we are all aware of by now. So we are just going to brush up on this topic. So starting with the section 21J of the Indian Patents Act, which deals with what is the invention. So, as per section 21J, it gives a definition of invention as a new product or a process involving an inventive step and capable of industrial application. So, this seems like a simple definition, and it contains three critical requirements in the definition itself. You can read out onto the keywords. Section 21JA, sorry, it's section 21J, invention means a new product or process involving an
Solving
inventive
inventive.
step and capable of industrial application. So the invention itself is defined with respect to the three criteria, which are newness, novelty, inventive step, and industrial applicability. Okay.
Anze.
So an invention must be new, it should be non-obvious, and it should be industrially applicable. Let's revise this concept as well. So starting with the first one, novelty. So novelty is something which very simply means newness. It means an invention or technology which has not yet been publicly disclosed in any document or used in the country or elsewhere in the world before the date of filing of the patent application is known as a novel invention. If it is anywhere disclosed, if it is there in a prior art, it is not novel. Okay. So this is what novelty is. So novelty, as we all know, is a global and absolute. It's checked globally. If anyone anywhere in the world has published or publicly used the invention before you have filed it, you lose on to the novelty. The novelty gets killed. Okay. So let's take an example. For example, I developed a smart shoe, and before I was going to file it, so someone has already, let's say somebody published a research paper on a smart shoe technology
Yeah.
3 years ago. So now the novelty has been killed. All
Yes.
right.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
despite of where the disclosure is, the novelty would be killed because novelty is checked worldwide. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now, moving on to the next one, which is the inventive step. So, this is a feature of an invention that involves, as per section 21JA, this involves technical advance as compared to the existing knowledge or having economic significance or both. So, what is inventive step? Inventive step is a technical advancement or having an economic significance or both the things. And this makes the invention not obvious to a person skilled in the art. So, a person skilled in the art is the normal person. It's a legal fiction, basically, an imaginary person who is thought of having an average skill in the relevant field, who knows all the publicly available information in the field and can combine different pieces of the prior art, and that is a person who is capable of being a person who is skilled in the art. So this
Hey,
is
the
a hypothetical thing that is created for the purpose of understanding in law. Okay.
basically entity. Um, the person who is expert in a certain field is not very obvious for him that not very obvious for a skilled person to suggest. Not very obvious. Guess that, and it would be an inventive step. 1J will use the definition of what invention. Section 2AA more what is about. So that's what I just read. It means if a feature of the invention that involves technical advance as compared to the existing knowledge or having economic significance or both that makes the invention not obvious to a person in the art. Industrial application AC.
So this is about the inventive step. Now the third criteria we have understood is the Industrial applicability, which means that the invention should be capable of being made or used in an industry. So these three are the very, very important sections. Section 21J, which defines invention, 21JA, which defines inventive step, 21AC,
AC.
which defines industrial applicability, and 21L, which defines a new invention. Okay. So, a new invention is an invention or technology which has not been anticipated by the publication in any document or used in the country or elsewhere in the world before the date of filing of the patent application. All right. So, this is what the uh, inventive step and non-obviousness inventive step, industrial applicability, invention or new invention is. Now, the last definition which is important is person interested. So this is a person who is engaged or is involved in promoting or in research in the same field as to which the invention relates. Okay, so I'll just show you the Indian Patent Act, the e-copy of it. So there are many sections in this. You can see there are 162 sections approximately. So the definitions are mentioned in section 2. All of these are the definitions. But the most important ones are these. So you should be focusing on these the most. These should be on your tips. These sections should be on your tips because sometimes in the Viva, examiners ask,
These are the sections.
define the inventive step, or they ask, where is inventive step defined in the act? So you should be answering section 21JA. Okay, so this was a question which was asked to me. So that's why I always give this example to everybody, and these are the most important things that you should be knowing. I hope this is clear to everybody. Give me a good thumbs up if it is clear.
Okay, she's asking, taking the confirmation of it. Able to see.
Everyone's participation is required.
So this is the Bear Act. I think she's showing the Indian Patent Act. This is the Act. This is Section 1. I think Section. Mention it is Section 2, right? Yeah, I think, see, this is Section 2. In that subsection 1, in that, these are the clauses. Context otherwise
Okay.
request.
So,
This is the
basically,
inventive step.
what is the difference between section 21J and 21L? I will explain. So 21J is
A
defining an invention to be a new product or a process. It can only be a product or a process which has inventive
inventive
step
step and
and
capable
is
of industry.
capable of industrial application. Now, new invention. Now they are specifically
Action.
defining the novelty of the
This
new
is the new
invention, like
invention.
how it should be seen. So it's defining the novel feature of it, as in it is defining novelty. So
Okay.
novelty means an invention or something which has not been anticipated by the publication in any document
In
or
any
used in
country
the
or
country or
otherwise
elsewhere in the world. So
for
I
the
will
date of the.
explain it in a very easy
Yeah, that's
language to
great, I
you
think, right?
guys. So imagine that you have developed something and it is publicly being used by somebody in China. So this is also something which is killing the novelty. Why? Because it's a public use before you have filed it. It is a public disclosure. This can also be a public disclosure. Now you must be confused with the heavy term which is anticipated, which is mentioned here in 21L. I will explain that and it will make things much easier to you.
And anticipated, right? This is the word, I think. Yeah. So I think section
All right. So let's talk about something that is very, very important.
PPT we're referring, we're in this. So what are the things? What is inventions? And 21J been explained. Newness, right? Newness is no strict. In an invention, there is newness. There is section 21. So a new invention, an invention, a technology which has been anticipated publicly. documented use before the date of filing of patent application. Subject matter has that it doesn't form the part of one J is the invention. So invention which can be patented. There are three things. There is newness is there is section L, new invention. Next, anticipation person who is the domain not very obvious for a person skilled in that advancement. Economic significance. It's if now what is it? Industrial an invention is it can be it can be yeah invention invention.
Important and you must be intrigued to know about it. Anticipation. So think of it in a way that you can't patent something that is already out there in the world. That's right. Everybody knows that if something is out there in the world, you cannot get it patented because that is killing the novelty. Okay. So now, anticipation. Basically, when your new invention is not actually new at all, someone already has beaten you to it and made it publicly available before you filed your patent application. So the keyword here is public. If it is being published, used publicly, or disclosed to the public before your filing date, then sorry, but you are too late to the party and the invention cannot be patented. So let me give you some real world examples or scenarios to make it crystal clear for you all. Now, picture this, there is a businessman in Mumbai who is running a small recycling business since 2021. He has got this neat machine that crushes and processes the plastic bottles. Okay. And he's been using it right there on the street where everyone can see it. Now, fast forward to next year,
Another thing,
2022. Someone else, let's say a company in Bangalore, files for a essentially the same machine, but what will happen now? The patent application is going to get rejected because the invention was already being publicly used by that guy in Mumbai. Okay, so the guy in Mumbai has anticipated the Bangalore company's patent, even though he never filed for the invention himself. But since he was publicly using that invention, the novelty has been killed. Okay, now I'll give you another scenario which happens more often than you would think. So, a German researcher, for example, he published a detailed paper in a scientific journal about a new way to formulate diabetes medicine. The paper gets circulated worldwide. Okay, so it's available online. Researchers everywhere are reading it. Now, fast forward to the 2 more years ahead, 3 more years ahead, 2023. An Indian pharmaceutical company, let's say, they decide to patent this exact same formulation here in India. Although that was published in Germany and it was being read by people worldwide, but it was not something which was patented by someone. Okay. Now, the Indian pharma company, do you think they can actually get it patented? What should be the answer? Yes or no in the chat box.
Still, right? It cannot be patented, published in Japan. We cannot pay.
Perfect. The answer is no. So the German publication from 2020 has already anticipated the patent application of the Indian pharma company, and the invention stopped becoming new. It has stopped being new, and the moment the research paper hits the journal, it is not novel anymore. All right. So this is what the uh, anticipation means. Now, the tricky thing about the Indian patent law is that it does not actually defines what the anticipation means in black and white. Instead, it has differentiated between what is not considered to be anticipated. So these are known as the exceptions to the anticipation. They are mentioned in chapter 6, section 29 to 34 of Indian Patents Act. So be very attentive now. So section 29 to 34 we are going to cover today in a very detailed manner, and these deal with the exceptions to anticipation, which means even if something is done, if let's say the application is the disclosure of the invention is publicly available, or the invention is being publicly used, but in which situations it would still not be considered to be anticipated, and it will be instead considered to be novel. Okay, so let's go through these sections one by one and understand each exceptions which are there in the act, starting with the very first one. Section 29, anticipation by previous publication. So be very, very careful from now onwards. We are going to cover the sections and you should be very, very attentive. So starting with the each, I'll cover each subsection also. So this means, this one means 29.1. This means 29.2. Similarly, this means 29.3. All right. So starting with the very first one, section 29, subsection 1. So this provision protects the true and first inventor from losing the rights when someone else files a patent application for the same invention without the authorization. I'll just explain it in a very simple manner. I'll go step by
I'll
step.
just
Section 29.1, I'll read the subsection.
invention claimed not be deemed to have been and by reason only that invention was published, filed in made in India. Any invention, an invention claimed in the complete specification. That means when some patents, right? So there are two things: provisional, complete, provisional, and we say complete specification. Provisional specification means they won't mention everything about the invention. Complete specification means they give the full details. Invention claimed in complete deemed to have. We cannot say it is an anticipation by reason only that the invention was published in specific an application made in India before the first. Okay, if that invention specification is available, you say that is there, cannot be considered as anticipation. Anticipation, previous public, not only the previous publication resulting it in an anticipation. Okay,
First, for your ease, an invention claimed in a complete specification shall not be deemed to have been anticipated by reason only that the invention was published in a specification filed in pursuance of an application for a patent made in India and dated before the first day of January 1912. So this means that the inventions which are so old, which belong to a very past dated inventions, like the one which were filed or disclosed before 1st January 1912, they will not be considered to be anticipation. They will not be considered to be anticipating the present day's invention. Okay. So an invention
Understand why they
which is
include
being
this.
claimed will not be considered anticipated only because of the reason
I don't
that
understand.
there was a
1912, are there
publication.
any
Yes,
inventions that had
yes,
been
there was a publication before the 1st January 1912 date. Okay, in India or anywhere. So this is what section 29(1) talks about.
section
This is a very
29
simple one, although this does not hold relevance in today's world. But since it's mentioned in the act, we are supposed to cover it.
in
Now the
patent?
main section starts from this one, 29(2). So starting with section 29(2), subject as hereinafter provided, an invention claimed in a complete specification shall not be deemed to have been anticipated by
Diesel.
reason only that the invention was published before the priority date of the relevant claim of the specification, if the patentee or the applicant for the patent proves that the matter published was obtained from any person from whom he derives title and was published without his consent or the consent of any such person, and where the patentee or the applicant for the patent or any person from whom he derives title,
Learned.
where did it go, learned from the for the publication before the date of the application of the patent, or in case of a convention application before the date of the application of the protection of a convention country, the application or the application in the convention country, as the case may be, was made as soon as is reasonably
Typically,
practicable thereafter. So now this seems very tricky, but I will ease it out for you. Listen to me very carefully. So this subsection 2, this provides protection to the true and first inventors from losing their rights. First one, when someone else files a patent application for the same invention without authorization. Second, after that authorization, after that unauthorized filing, the invention gets used or published by the wrong applicant or by others because of disclosure of that wrong applicant. Very simple example. Suppose there is a person A who is a true inventor of a new chemical process. Now there is a person B who had no rights, somehow learns of the invention and files a patent application first. So you understand, A was the inventor, but
yeah,
B, who learned about the invention, maybe let's say he was somebody who was a business partner of A, but he was not working in the invention, he was just a business partner. He somehow learnt about that invention and he files a patent application first. So he was not authorized to file that invention. Why? Because he was not the true and first inventor. He filed it unauthorizedly. So after filing, what happened? We disclosed the invention in a seminar and published a paper. Later on, A, when he again filed a patent application, because he was not aware that B has already filed an application. He went to patent office, he filed the patent application. Now what happened? Uh, he would come to know that, oh my god, B has already published my invention, he has already filed it without my authorization. So he may go and object this belong by the section 29, and he may quote this section and say that since this was wrongfully obtained by me from me, it was not filed by somebody without my consent, so that is why this invention is not considered to be anticipated. I can file a patent application because this is my invention.
okay.
And the person who has filed it before me, he has filed it without authorization. He is not a true and first inventor and he has filed it without my consent. Okay. So now you would be thinking about how would he prove that? He can prove that with with by showing the lab reports or the experimental data that he must have, and he can prove that with the dates also, that there must be some dates mentioned in the laboratory notebooks or any kind of experimentations or any CCTV footage or anything, that he has actually performed the experimentations and he was the person who was actually authorized to file the invention. But instead, person B understood the invention from him and filed it without his consent. So this is what section 29 talks about. Now let's move on to the next one, which is subsection 3, 29.3. So this says, so section 3 says in an essence that an invention will not be considered anticipated if the disclosure or prior application was made because someone else wrongly tried to claim the invention without the true inventor's consent. So this is what sections mean. All these are like that. This was about section 29. Anticipation by previous publication. So if somebody published it before you or filed the application before you, then also your invention will not be considered to be anticipated. It will not be considered novelty killing because there was an unauthorized publication without the consent or unauthorized filing without the consent. All right. So this was about section 29. This seems a little difficult, but try to understand. Let's move on to the next one. Sorry, section 30. Anticipation by previous communication. So this one is pretty
Yeah, I think I will discuss about section 20. Anticipation. And mm, I think I'll just previous clause that in recipe. And next we cannot say the second 29 2 section. In 29 subsection 2, two clauses A and B. That is all about you have rights has been published somewhere else. So the matter published was obtained from him, or there he is not himself the first inventor. That means the one who is published it. For any person from whom he derives the title and was published without his consent, persons, not an anticipation. 29 to B, your applicant of a for the patent or any person from whom he derives the learned the publication before the date of the application for the patent, or in the case of a convention application before the date of the public application for protection in a convention country that the application was made as soon as thereafter, provided that this subsection shall not apply the invention was before the prior date of the commercially worked in India. So one thing, make sure that whatever you're doing, the invention should be working before the priority date. I think in the further classes we will learn about what is a priority date as well, and there are means without giving the complete specifications when you apply for a patent, that's called the priority date. I think from the priority date, you will be given a 12 months time to give the complete specification and apply for the full patent. So that's what before the priority date, the whatever invention you think that should not be means it should not come into application for the public. Maybe in one of the public there. Commercially, it should not be commercially worked in India. Otherwise, and for the purpose of reasonable trial, either by the patentee or the applicant for the patent or any person from whom he derives title or any other person with the consent of the patentee or the applicant for the patent or any person from whom he derives title. Okay, next subsection section 29(3). Where a complete specification is filed in pursuance of an application for a patent made by a person being the true or first inventor or deriving the title from him, an invention claimed in that specification shall not be deemed to be have been anticipated by reason only of any other application for the patent in respect of the same invention made in the contravention of the rights of that person, or by reason only that after the date of the filing of the other application of the invention was used or published without the consent of that person and by the applicant in respect of that other application or by any other person in the consequence of any disclosure of any invention by that applicant. Well, it's very difficult to but let's so 29 there one two three in two there are two clauses. Before this we studied about section 2(1) J, 2(1) L, 2(1) J A, 2(1) A, 2(1) T. So these are the sections so far we have learned, right? This is how one section after one section will increase and we'll learn it. Okay, let's move to the next. Great. Next section 30. Let's hear what is it. I think I can pause it. Not being paused, I think. Is there a possibility to pause this one? No. Seeing all the possibilities here when recording. Okay, okay. Section 30. The anticipation by previous publication, that is section 29. Section 30 is anticipation by previous communication to the government. Okay, so that means the invention has been already, because of it has to be disclosed to the government. The section 30, an invention claimed in complete specification shall not be deemed to have been anticipated by reason only of the communication of the invention to the government or to any person authorized by the government to investigate the invention or its merits of anything done in consequence of a communication for the purpose of the investigation. So they want to investigate it. So the information about the invention has been disclosed to the government or any persons related to the government, then it is not considered as an anticipation. Is the section 30. See what?
Straightforward, but super important. Imagine you have invented a new defense technology or a breakthrough in a renewable energy. So the government wants to evaluate, maybe let's say Ministry of Defense wants to test your new radar system if it is a radar system, or let's say Department of Science and Technology wants to assess your invention. So subsection, there is no subsection to it. So section 30 says, go ahead, share your invention with the government for the evaluation purpose, and we will not make your invention novelty killing. We will not consider that this disclosure that you are making to the government, this communication that you are making to the government is something that is killing the novelty of your invention. So even if you have communicated about your invention to the government before you filed it in the patent office, then also anticipation won't be considered. Why? Because of section 30. So it says go ahead, share your invention with the government for the evaluation purpose. We will not penalize you for that. And for this communication with the government officials, They do the testing, investigations based on that information, and none of that will be counted as anticipation because of Section 30. So I'll read this out. An invention claimed in a complete specification shall not be deemed to have been anticipated by reason only of that communication of the invention to the government or to any person authorized by the government to investigate the invention or its merits, or of anything done in consequence of such a communication for the purpose of investigation. So if you have communicated your invention to the government for the purpose of investigation, for the purpose of evaluation, it will not be considered, this communication will not be considered as anticipation. Your invention will not be considered to be novelty killing. I hope this is clear to everybody. Give me a thumbs up if it is clear. Very good. Well done. Perfect, perfect. Okay, let's move ahead. Very good if it's clear. It might look little tricky, but please be very attentive. This will be very clear to you. Now there is the third section which we have to cover. Section 31. Anticipation is a very important chapter, so please be very attentive. Okay. Section 31 talks about anticipation by public display, etc. Okay. So now this is where things get really practical for the inventors who want to showcase their work. You know how inventors often want to display their creation at some industrial exhibition or some conference or some trade show, or some any kind of conference which is there, or the exhibition which is there, which might bring some revenue to them in future. So Section 31 gives a special 12-month window to do exactly that without losing your patent rights. So let me explain you with an example. For example, there is a person, there is a student, let's say, who developed an invention of a water purification system. Now he wants to display it at the Indian International Science Festival. Sorry, he wants to display it at International Science Festival in January. Okay. So under normal anticipation rules, showing your invention publicly would kill the patent novelty, right? But Section 31 says no, that's not the case. This section protects you in several scenarios. First, you can display your invention at government approved exhibitions. Okay. So if you are displaying your invention in a government approved exhibition, then it will not be considered as anticipation. But with the date you have displayed it, within 12 months from that date, you have to file the patent application. Okay. So this is what it is. Second, any publication that results from that exhibition, that will also not hurt you. Third, even if someone sees your invention at the exhibition and starts using it without your permission during the exhibition period, that unauthorized use will also not anticipate your patent application either. So, this section covers the whole thing, and it gives a chance to the inventors to display their work before a learned society, or if if that is getting published with his consent in transaction of such a society, then also it is not considered to be an anticipation. So Section 31 says that an invention claimed in a complete specification shall not be deemed to have been anticipated by reason only of first one, the display of the invention with the consent of true and first inventor is there. Okay, so the display is with the consent of the true and first inventor, or by himself only, or by the true and first inventor only, where in the government approved exhibition, the one that is uh, the exhibition to which the provisions of this section are extending are the ones that are notified in the official gazette as to be the exhibitions of the government approved category. Okay. Second, the publication of any description of the invention in consequence of this display, this public display, or the public use at any such exhibition will also not be considered as anticipation. I'm repeating the points, okay? Third, the use of this invention after the display will also not be considered as anticipation by so the use of the invention after it has been displayed or used at any such exhibition as aforesaid and during the period of the exhibition by any person without the consent of the true and first inventor or a person deriving the title from him, or the description of the invention in a paper read by the true and first inventor before a learned society or published with his consent in the transaction of such a society will not be considered as anticipation. But there is one thing, that once you have displayed it within the 12-month period from the display, public display of any kind, you have to file your patent application. For example, you displayed it in the exhibition on 1st January 2020. So you have to file a patent application before 1st January 2021. Okay, so you get this 12-month period, this 1 year period in which you have displayed your invention before filing the patent application. And then also it is not considered as anticipation because it is an exception under section 31. I hope this is clear to everybody. Now the next one is section 32. So this is a little easier to understand. So section 32 talks about anticipation by public working. So this basically says an invention claimed in a complete specification shall not be deemed to have been anticipated by reason only that at any time within 1 year before the priority date of the relevant claim of the specification, the invention was publicly worked in India. By who? The patentee, by any other person with the consent of the patentee or the applicant. So this basically means that you have 1 year grace period before you file the patent application to conduct reasonable trials for your invention in public. But there is a strict condition here of 12-month period here also. So the public working must be by you or the person you authorize. If you are the patent holder, if you are the patent applicant, you are the true and first inventor, and you are publicly working your invention for the reasonable trial purpose, or it is necessary for your invention to be worked in the nature, then only it will be considered as exception under section 32. So think about it. For example, you have invented something related to, let's say, traffic management system. So how will you test that traffic management system? Obviously, in the traffic only. Before you file the patent application, you will check its workability. You will check its uh, industrial applicability, right? So for that, you will have to work that invention in public. So such type of inventions, which are actually required to be worked in nature as a reasonable trial purpose, they are also not considered as invention, not considered as anticipation under section 32 if they are done by if the public working of such type of inventions is done by the patentee or the applicant or somebody who derives the title from them by their consent. Okay. So
Yeah, I think I understand. Overall, any invention that was right, all in what do you say, something, there will be publications of it, right? Almost we have to publish it, okay? And from this 30 is all about men and 31. I think till 34 are there sections for anticipation. Read one more. Joyful.
so this is what section 32 talks about public working. Now, the next one is section 33, anticipation by use and publication after provisional specification. So now,
Like section 32, it says an invention claimed in a complete specification shall not be deemed to have been anticipated by reason only that at any time within 1 year before the date of the relevant claim of the specification, the invention was publicly worked in India. Like there is a public displaying and the public working here. So by the patentee applicant for the patent or any person for whom he derives the title or what by any other person with the consent of the patentee or application for the patent or any person from whom he derives title if the working was effected for the purpose of the reasonable trial only and if it was reasonably necessary having regard to the nature of the invention that the working of that purpose should be effected in public or an anticipation by public working. Okay, let's move to the section 33. Anticipation by use and publication after provisional specification means once you filed a patent, okay, that provisional priority date will come for you when you with provisional specification you have, okay, yeah.
uh, since we have covered one, two, three, four sections, we are on to our fifth one, which is the anticipation by use and publication after provisional specification. I would like to focus something. I would like to bring your focus on something. The key word herein is provisional specification and the complete specification. Many of you won't be familiar with this concept of provisional and complete. So let me tell you. A provisional specification is the specification that is filed when your invention is in the state of working. Like you are actually building your invention, the idea is there, you are working on it. So to secure that idea, to secure a date of filing for it, to secure a priority date for it, you file a provisional application, and within the date you filed the provisional application, within 12-month period you have to convert it into the complete specification. All right. So this is what the difference is between complete and provisional. Now let's read the lines of this section. Where a complete specification is filed or proceeded with in pursuance of an application which was accompanied by a provisional specification, or where a complete specification filed along with an application is treated by virtue of a direction under subsection 3 of section 9 as a provisional specification, then, notwithstanding anything contained in this act, the controller shall not refuse to grant the patent, and the patent shall not be revoked or invalidated by reason only that any matter described in the provisional specification or in the specification treated as aforesaid as a provisional specification was used in India or published in India or elsewhere at any time after the date of filing of that specification. So this looks very, very heavy, right? So don't worry, I am here to simplify it for you guys. Just give me a minute.
It for
So now this gives a provisional
here what it's very difficult to understand. Yeah, filed in a complete specification combined no specific controller refers to and the file for the prior. Someone
specification, a grace period basically. This section deals with a common patent strategy. So many inventors file a provisional application first for securing their priority date, right? Then within 12 months, they file the complete specification. Now, section 33 says that anything described in your provisional specification that gets used or published after you filed the provisional application won't be considered anticipated. Your complete specification, uh, I was saying that section 33, this says that anything which is described in your provisional specification that gets used or published after you filed that provisional won't anticipate your complete specification later on. It's like the law is saying you already claimed this territory with your provisional filing, so we won't penalize you for what happens afterward. So, same logic applies to the international convention applications also. The second section of this is talking about that only. So the convention applications, if you file in a convention country first, the subsequent use or publication of that same subject matter won't kill the novelty of your Indian application.
I
Okay.
understand
So
this
this
well.
is what it is talking about. That something that you have disclosed in the provisional application will not be considered as a prior publication. It will not kill the novelty of your complete specification. This is what it is safeguarding. Although we know this, but it's something which is secured by law. So now you do not have to worry about this thing also. So this was about section 33. It was looking a very heavy one, but it was quite simple. Now the last one is section 34. Finally, section 34, it's like, I'll read it out. Notwithstanding anything contained in this act, the controller shall not refuse to grant a patent, and a patent shall not be revoked or invalidated by reason only of any circumstances which, by virtue of section 29 or section 30 or 31 or 32, do not constitute an anticipation of the invention claimed in the specification. So it's essentially saying, if the only reason someone wants to reject your patent is because of the situations covered by section 29 to 32, then tough luck for them. You will get your patent because these are the exceptions. It's like a safety net. So section 34 is like a safety net, which is ensuring that these exceptions actually work in practice. So without section 34, someone might argue, yes, but these are still anticipation issues, even if the sections provide exceptions, etc., etc. But section 34 shuts down all the arguments definitively, and it very clearly states that anything which falls under section 29 to section 30, 31.
Understood the section 34 is like see, coming about it can be called 32. But section 34 it's say and it's I'm reassuring that it is not. That's the main. You cannot argue anything. If it is falling under you want to argue it's not section. Someone able to prove that is section 29. Now, section 34 reinforces that section 29 is now it's not be anticipation for that. Great. So section 29, 30, 31, the total six, five section. 34 is nothing but 29, 30, anticipate, no anticipation, anticipation by use and publication. Why this has not been guarded by section 34? Here, it's not like a provision specific. It's not 34, section 34, 29, 30, 31.
Or 32 will not be constituted as anticipation of the invention. Okay, so this is like a safety net for all the previous sections. So this was about anticipation. Now let's move on to the next concept, which we are very, very familiar with. Section 3 and Section 4. We have covered this concept in the previous sessions, but we will brush upon this topic. So let's brush upon this one. As we all know, Section 3 and Section 4 are the non-patentable subject matter, and these are Section 3 is related to things which are not considered as invention. It has subsections from A to P. And then section 4, which is relating to atomic energy, it says that inventions which are related to atomic energy are not considered to be the patentable subject matter. All right. So we start with subsection A, which says what are not inventions? An invention which is frivolous or which claims anything which is contrary to well established natural laws will not be considered as the uh, invention. All right. So, for example, a perpetual motion machine, which claims that it produces the energy input, sorry, energy output without any energy input. So, this will be rejected under section 3A because it is violating the law of thermodynamics. Okay, so before filing, you have to ensure your invention doesn't contradict any fundamental science.
I think that B and section. I think that anything related to atomic energy is not patentable. Okay, we cannot patent inventions related to atomic energy are not patent. So I think avoid these are this section three is there has subsections of 3A to 3. We learn one by one. I think it's been explained, and after that, avoid patent abuse and adhere to the country's policy goals. Avoid undeserved, unnecessary monopolies. Generally granted for 20 years. Then I think we will learn in the future was something called evergreening of the patent. Also cannot be done. So now you can see the section three, the first one, 3A, 3A to P. An invention which is frivolous or which claims anything obvious contrary to well established natural laws. There are already laws given. Someone is contradicting all frivolous. It's not patentable.
Scientific principles, or it does not contradict the law of nature, and yeah, it should not violate any such law of nature. Otherwise, it will be considered as frivolous, something which is against the natural laws. Then we have subsection 3b, which talks that anything that is primary intended use or commercial
Morality.
exploitation of which is contrary to public order or morality, or which is causing serious prejudice to human health, plant life, or environment is considered to be a non patentable subject matter. For example, if you develop a fertilizer that is killing, that is wiping away the whole population of butterflies, let's say, so this is something which is against the environmental life, it is against the plant life, because the this butterfly is a pollinator, and if you are wiping out the entire species, that will create a havoc. So
Yeah.
these type of inventions which are related to bioterrorism or anything which is related to theft or something that is against the public order or morality, or which is hurting the human health, plant life, or the environmental health, will be considered as non-patentable. The third one is the mere discovery of a scientific principle or the formulation of an abstract theory, or discovery of any living thing or non-living thing, non-living substance occurring in nature. So any discovery or a scientific principle or an abstract theory is not considered as invention. Why? Because they are not invention. They already existed in nature. These are simply the ideas.
Okay. What is 3A is mean? There are natural laws, but you're going against it. Something named. Now 3B going against morality or it's been very harmful to the human plant, patentable. Uh, Mere disc present in nature is new, patentable. Inventories already exist in the nature.
Ideas, and you can only patent what we have learnt about, what the meaning of invention, new invention is something that you have developed, something that is not already existing in nature, something that is new, right? So this is something you discover and not invent. For that purpose, section 3d 3c eliminates all such type of inventions. Okay, so these are not inventions per se. Now, section 3D, we all know, is the most important one of the all. It says that a new form of a known substance is not patentable, or a mere use of a known process is not patentable. So, it is something which is related to evergreening of the patents. You cannot claim the same. You cannot claim the same compound but in a different form, right? Unless you are able to show a significant improvement in the efficacy. So, efficacy means how well a drug or a substance is able to achieve its purpose. For example, if the purpose is of treating fever, so how well it is able to subside the fever will be the efficacy. So, if you are able to prove that the new form of a known substance is giving out an advanced efficacy, it's able to show a significant improvement in the efficacy, then it is patentable. Otherwise, it's not patentable. There was a very classic case of Novartis versus Union of India, which was for related to the evergreening of the patents. In this, there was a Swiss pharma company, Novartis, that applied for a patent application for a cancer drug, and they claimed that the new crystalline form of the drug is the invention. But the Supreme Court of India denied the patent for it, and they ruled that the new form, it's simply a new form, it's a crystalline form that you have created, and there is no significant efficacy that is there from the known version. So it's a mere modification of the form of the drug, and it's not a true invention. So they were simply trying to uh, create a new form of an already patented substance to increase the life of the formulation. So this is known as the evergreening of patents, and this is not allowed. And this was established under the uh, case law of Novartis versus Union of India of 2013. All right. So this was 3D. Now 3E, we all know, is the a
Process. Sorry. Is admixture able to able with the all.
substance which is obtained by a mere admixture and which is resulting only in the aggregation of the properties of the known compounds. This is not considered to be the invention unless it shows synergy, unless it is creating an effect that is more than the sum of its parts. Okay, no more than the additive effect. Okay, so if a company is mixing two laundry detergent and they each of the detergent is working just like they did before, just like they individually work, and there is no change in the cleaning power which is emerging out of the mixture, then this mixture is not considered to be the patentable subject matter and it will be a mere admixture. But if there is a company that creates a drug which has a mixture of, let's say, a fever reducing medicine and a or let's say a fever reducing and headache reducing medicine. Okay, so both of them, if they are able to work together in a better manner, then that will prove the synergy, and for that you'll have to give the data, the experimental data, to prove that it is synergistically better than the existing uh, known compounds which are individual compounds, basically, not known compounds. All right. So this is what section 3E talks about, that mere
Admixture.
mixtures are not patentable. You
Yeah.
have to prove that there is a synergy. Next, we have section 3F.
Yeah. 3A is what? Fuelless side. Maybe it's going against moral. Humans. Mere discovery already is available in nature. You invented it. That's wrong. Like 3D, that's reading of the patents means already known invention. You're just changing its form into different things. You're saying it's an even invention. That's not patentable. Now coming to the section, you mix two things and you just say there is no synergic effect. Then we cannot say that's good.
So it talks about mere arrangement or rearrangement or duplication of the known devices, each functioning independently, is not considered as the invention. So it's very, very clear to understand that you cannot simply patent something which you have developed just by rearranging the existing devices. If I put a camera and a flashlight and a speaker together in a smartphone without any new function, this is not patentable because they are still working independently as before. A flashlight can work, a camera can work, a speaker can work. If you are putting them together, there should be something significant in that. Okay. So adding a second fan to a laptop for extra cooling without any technical improvement is not patentable. It's just doubling an existing part. But if adding the extra fan along with some cooling thing in it is able to reduce the heat significantly, then that could be patentable. So the mere arrangement and rearrangement or duplication of known devices, which are function independently in a known way, is not patentable. Then there was section 3H, you all remember this. So this is related to a method of agriculture and horticulture is straightforward, not patentable in India.
Arrangement and rearrangement or duplication of the node, each function independently of one another anyway. Put a camera, flashlight, something. Mere arrangement or rearrangement or duplication of node device. 3F. Mere duplication of the known devices, each functioning independent of another. Come from 3A. B. It's harmful to the public. 3C. It's a discovery. And 3D. It's evergreening of the patent. Changing the form of the known invention in different form. Next 3E. Admixture. There is no synergic effect in already independent. They're working properly. Mere rearrangement or duplication of the known device is independently one in a known way. Not a very in let's agriculture.
You can patent the machinery of agriculture and horticulture. You can patent the fertilizers, herbicides, because they are the combinations, they are the compositions, basically, formulations and compositions. But you cannot patent a method by which you are doing an agricultural activity or horticulture activity. Okay, so you can patent a new type of tractor, you can patent a new type of irrigation system, you can
Techniques
patent
of
a
the
new type of fertilizer or insecticide or herbicide, but you cannot patent the method of watering the plants. You cannot patent the method of plowing. You cannot patent the method of harvesting. So these are the methods of agriculture. So the keyword herein is method. So methods are not patentable per se in this case. Next we have section 3.
okay, let's go. 3A is 3B is the public invented it. Of same invention, changing the form in the form of the already mixture. The, the existing invention, admixture, uh, admixture, bone mixtures, AF, rearrangement or duplicating the node. Now three methods.
EI. Again, this talks simply about the processes. So, any processes which are related to the medicinal or surgical, curative, prophylactic, diagnostic, or therapeutic treatment of human beings or animals to render them free of any disease or to increase their economic value or their products will not be considered invention. So, what you can patent is you can patent the medical
Devices,
you can
drugs,
patent the drugs, you can patent the
not
machineries,
patent,
you can patent
medical.
the let's say diagnostic machines, you can patent the medical devices, pacemaker, surgical tools, or
I,
anything which is related to the medicinal company or sorry, related to the medical field. Basically, you can patent
medical,
the
surgical,
products, but you
curative product.
cannot patent the processes. You cannot patent a new way of performing a brain transplant surgery or a heart transplant surgery. You cannot patent a physiotherapy technique. You cannot patent how to detect cancer using an x-ray. You cannot patent any new method of diagnosis also, but you can patent the machine through which you are diagnosing. Okay, so the processes are not patentable in this case as well, but the products are. Then we have section 3J. So this was also very simple. You cannot patent the plants and the animals or any of their parts, but you can patent the microorganisms.
Culture. Where is it? He is not. Yeah, he is this. Plants and okay, plants, animals in whole or any part, microorganisms.
You cannot patent the seeds, varieties, species, etc., but you can only patent the microorganisms. All right.
Genetically modified.
So a new variety of mango or a cow breed cannot be patented, but you can patent a genetically engineered bacteria or genetically engineered fungi. You can patent that, but you cannot patent the naturally occurring plants, animals, or their parts, including seeds and leaves and trees. Okay. Section 3K talks about mathematical method or business methods or computer programs per se. They are not patentable, or the algorithms also. They are not patentable. But there was a case law which was Feridalani versus Union of India. which said that if you are able to prove that there is a technical advancement, then these things are patentable. If you're not able to prove that, then it's not. A basic sorting algorithm cannot be patented, but a new AI method that speeds up the medical diagnosis might be patentable if it is tied to a technical advancement. All right. And another thing to overcome this can be if you are linking your computer program or a mathematical method or an algorithm with a hardware feature, then also it is patentable. So there are two things: either you prove the technical advancement or you link it with a hardware feature and present it as a product. So this was about the Feridalani versus Union of India case, because it was held that in today's world it is not possible to have a invention without the interference of a computer program or a software. So the softwares are not automatically unpatentable. If a computer program is demonstrating a technical contribution, technical advancement by solving a technical problem, then it is definitely
Technical
patentable. So the focus is on the technical effect of the
mathematical
invention
business method
and not
computer
just
program.
on the software. That is the ruling given out by the court. All right. So you can't outrightly reject a software related patent. This was ruled out to the patent office. Now let's we study the section 3L. So any literary, dramatic, musical or artistic work or any other aesthetic creation, all which includes cinematic work or the TV shows or paintings or musical work, anything like that, these come under the Copyright Act and not the Patents Act, and hence they are not patentable. All right. Next, we have 3M, so mere schemes or rules or method of performing a mental act or method of playing any game. These are not patentable. We have covered this many times. A method of presentation of information, not patentable. If I am presenting this PPT, I cannot patent my way of presenting this information. No, it's not allowed. Okay, because there is nothing which is inventive in this. All right. Now,
Apart
section 3O, which is topography of integrated circuits. So the semiconductor designs used in microchips, these are not patentable. They are protected under the Semiconductor Act. There is separate act for its protection, but they are not protected under the Patent Act. Okay. Now, the last one is section 3P, which talks about the traditional knowledge or the aggregation or duplication of the known properties of the traditionally known components. So, a classic case, neem. So, neem has a neem leaves. Those have a antiseptic properties or antibacterial properties per se. So, they are something which is traditional knowledge of India, and you cannot patent that. However, you can use the product that you can use the neem leaves to create a product, and that product can be patentable, but you cannot patent the traditional knowledge of any country. All right, I hope this is clear to everybody. Now the last one is section 4, which says that anything which falls under section 20 of Atomic Energy Act 1962 will be considered as the inventions relating to atomic energy, and they will not be patentable under section 4. Okay. So imagine somebody patents the nuclear bomb. That is something which is very sensitive technology, and it should not fall in the hands of the people who might misuse it or exploit it for a commercial
yes.
purpose. So that's why these types of inventions are sensitive and they are not patentable in India. Now I have pasted certain important links in this PPT for you guys. This is the e-copy of the Patent Act which I just showed you earlier. This is the same e-copy of the patent rules, e-copy of designs, e-copy of design rule, and these are the Amazon links as well.